Hi, I'm the Space Quest historian. Here's a quick little video I had to put together in a bit of a rush, so my apologies for it not being very visually exciting. I have some big news to share though, so hopefully that'll make up for something. I don't know. Anyway, you may have heard that there's a documentary movie in the works called Legends of Adventure. If you haven't, go check out their backer kit page. I'll link that in the video description. Basically, it's a full feature-length documentary that tells the story of Sierra Online from its humble beginnings to its messy demise. It's got interviews with the founders, Ken and Roberta Williams, as well as several of the people who worked at the company, including Jane Jensen, Christy Marks, Jim Walls, Laurie and Corey Cole, and the two guys from Andromeda. Yeah. Both Mark Crow and Scott Murphy are going to be in the documentary. Now, maybe you've already seen the announcement that Mark was going to be in the doc, but I'm happy to confirm that Scott will also be among the illustrious cast. I think it's fair to say that the two guys can be a bit reclusive, and they don't grant many interviews these days. In fact, I think this will be the first time they've been interviewed in almost 10 years. So getting them involved in the documentary is a bit of a scoop. But at the same time, I think we can all agree that it wouldn't be the same without their presence. I mean, Space Quest was one of Sierra's best-selling franchises, and it would be a bit strange if it wasn't a part of a documentary that promises to cover nearly every facet of the company. Now, as for the documentary itself, well, what kind of documentary is it going to be? There's already been several books written about Sierra, including one by Ken Williams himself, as well as numerous articles and videos on YouTube. So I asked the director, Dave Hodgson, what a documentary can tell us about Sierra that hasn't already been said.
Well, I think, and we found this in our initial interview with Ken and Roberta, is that people just kind of open up a lot more in this kind of format in a different way. Our executive producer, Kay Peterson, sat in on that first interview, and he's probably seen most of the interviews that Ken and Roberta have done over Zoom or on YouTube or even in written form. And he said, wow, they talked about a lot of things I've never heard them talk about before. It's a bit paradoxical, but sometimes in that format, even with the camera and the lights, it can be more intimate. And it kind of, sometimes they forget the cameras and lights are there, and it becomes just a one-to-one conversation, and they share things in confidence. So I think just the documentary format will reveal a lot more. And not to say that Ken's book or other articles haven't been the fulsome look at it, but it'll be a different kind of fulsome look.
Now, it goes without saying that I'm personally very excited about this project, and given that the documentary is already fully funded and speeding towards several stretch goals, it's fair to say a lot of people are similarly excited. But I have heard some people on social media express concern that this will just be one of those rose-tinted, pat-on-the-back type affairs that glamorizes the company without going into some of the messier details of the story, particularly surrounding its fairly calamitous end when Ken Williams sold the company to a bunch of suits who proceeded to gut it like a fish and reduce it to a mere husk of its former glory before killing it off entirely in a massive financial scandal. And I asked Dave about this, and he assures me that the movie won't gloss over some of the less than picture perfect details of the company.
I mean, we basically plan on tackling those by letting people tell their story, even if it isn't all rosy or, we know the Sierra story ended painfully for a lot of people who were still at the company. So we don't really have an angle. We just want to tell the true story in a fulsome way. So letting them tell that story and how did Sierra end for you kind of thing. We want to tell that part of the story. We want to hear from everyone involved, the people who had the rug pulled out from under them, and tell it from all angles. So yeah, it's definitely not something where we're trying to sugarcoat anything. And ultimately we are paying tribute to the creators and the games, but that's a really interesting part of the story. So I think we'd be remiss if we just kind of didn't talk about it at all.
So if you want to know more about the documentary, I've put up the full interview with Dave on my second channel, so go and check that out. Link also in the description. And yeah, that's it for now. The Legends of Adventure documentary is currently crowdfunding at the time of this video's release over on BackerKit, so go check that out. As I said, I'm personally very excited about this project, even more so now that I know that both of the two guys from Andromeda will be part of it, and I'm confident that this will turn out awesome. So until next time, I'll see you around the Chrono Stream. Bye!